Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about how much it costs me for hosting a website that makes me about 2,700 per month. It's increasing at this point, but let's just, for ballpark amount, let's say 2,700 because that's how much I got paid for it last month. One of the costs is image hosting. So that one, the base pricing is 49, which is what I'm paying right now. Because even though the website itself is not really about image hosting, I have about 4 million images requests and 180 gigabytes or more of bandwidth that I'm using. It came out to about 94 in total. So 49 for the base, 40 gigabytes of bandwidth, and then extra, I don't remember exactly how much, but yeah. And for the server, until actually about a month ago, I was using just a single CPU optimized dedicated droplet, this one to be exact. So this one I was using for mostly for the extra space it had because my website uses up a lot of storage. So 200 GB was just not doing it. So I had to switch to this one, and it had 32 gigs RAM, 16 vCPUs, and that came out to a total of 376. Just to remember, this is before taxes, so after taxes, so that's 20% here in Europe, so that came out to about 450 plus US dollars. But yeah, so the reason I'm saying I previously used to have this is because I was using actually something about only 10% of the actual resources available for the CPU, so I wasn't really using all the 16 vCPUs. And for the RAM itself, I think it was about 20%, 25 maybe at its peak, like when it was getting about 1500 users per 30 minutes. Yeah, I just felt a wasted hosting resource. So I switched from DigitalOcean to another cloud provider called Hetzner. So Hetzner is another cloud provider. It's a European cloud provider, and it's probably one of the cheapest ones you can find. For me, I didn't really see a need for a dedicated server. So before on this DigitalOcean server, I had everything in one server. So my backend, Django, the front end with Next.js, Celery task, all the scripting and stuff, and monitoring a Redis database, all that was hosted on a single machine. But now I'm using the highest available server, which comes to 65 euros a month. So I'm using two of those. So one of them I'm using for front and backend and all the services, excluding the database, which I'm hosting on a different server. So that dropped my cost to about 1/3 of what they were before. So before it was 470 something. Now it is basically 140. Right, so that's 1/3 the cost, maybe a bit more even. But actually, I feel like I might have to upgrade to a dedicated server soon, which might bump up my costs. So I'm thinking of going back to just using one machine for everything kind of model. We'll go with this one. It's still less than half, right? So it's a no-brainer to go with Hetzner. One thing I'm still using DigitalOcean for is image hosting. All the images are actually stored on S3. The image hosting, is mostly about the transformations, because on mobile you need smaller images, on desktop you need higher images so that the bandwidth costs are manageable. So all the images are actually stored here. I'm also using this for the backup for my database storage. Right, so if something goes wrong, I don't know, I accidentally delete everything, I drop all the tables, then I can just simply get the last available database backup and then just restore from the backup. So another thing I use is called Argo. It's with Cloudflare. So I'm using Cloudflare, just a free version, but I found that this product itself, even though I'm not paying for the pro version, I'm using Argo, and it provides 20% faster speeds due to some magic, some DNS magic that they're doing, like they route their traffic through their own servers instead of the public servers, which apparently makes things faster. It's a noticeable difference. It's apparently like 20 to 30% faster. And yeah, it costs me so $5 to start, and then after that, first per gigabyte, it costs 0.10 per gigabyte. So that's for last month. I think that came out to about $70, and I estimate this cost is going to keep rising. I might at some point, if the traffic gets to a very large amount, decide that 30% speed is not worth, let's say, I don't know, $200 per month, then yeah, I might just turn that off. But for now, to just get that kind of up into the right graph, it's been very helpful that Google notices that my website is faster than my competitors, so it puts me higher in rankings. The next thing I use is Sentry. So this one is a no-brainer, actually. Before, every time I created a feature, I would inadvertently include some sort of bug which would which would shut down the entire website for a few days or so until I discovered the issue. And then, yeah, every time there was a very big hassle. So now at least I had the option with the Sentries to see how my users are, or my users' experience are when they use the website, if they have any errors that they're getting and stuff like that. So very worth it for the $26 that I'm paying, but it's something that I can live without. All right, so that's something for what my costs are right now, right? So how could I go about improving this? So the first thing I could see myself improving is the image transformations pricing. So right now I'm paying about like $94 per month. The service I'm using is probably something like 50% or more a profit margin on the amount I'm paying. So at this point, I think it makes sense for me to just do my own Lambda service, which can just do the transformation itself, right? This service I'm using has a lot of features, but I'm not really using all the other features. I'm just using the width and height transformation. So just take this image that I have, let's say like 1000 times 1000 pixel picture, that convert that into, for mobile, convert that into 300 times 300. And then for desktop, convert it to 600 times 600. And then have some sort of quality filter. So they're probably also using some library in the backend anyways. They're probably not writing their own custom code for this. They're probably using something like OpenCV. So yeah, for the biggest expense right now for this one, if it was just $49 per month, kind of as the cap, that would be good with me. But the thing I'm overpaying, I recently found out, is for the bandwidth. So I'm only getting 40 gigs of bandwidth for the normal kind of base plan, and I have to pay like double, another 40 something dollars, just because every month like last month I exceeded the bandwidth limit. So this month I'm guessing I'll probably do the same because I have more users than last month. So I'm thinking of just rolling out my own Lambda, putting some sort of CloudFront caching in front of it, having S3 as DigitalOcean, and then the Lambda would resize the image based on the parameters of the URL, and then lower the quality a bit to where it's not noticeable that much, and then save it back to S3. And then the next time the same image is fetched, instead of retransforming the image, which would be additional latency, just take the previous image, like it would be, because we already put it back in S3, we can just use the same image through CloudFront, and that should help a lot with the latency because CloudFront has CDNs all over the world, right? So the image loading be pretty much comparable to this service I'm using right now. So yeah, that would, from my calculations, that would drop my cost from 94 right now. So this month it's probably going to be higher. I would say about $100 something. That would drop my cost to about 40. So about half or more. So yeah, that's something I've been looking into. And that might be actually a topic for a video I'm doing next, actually rolling out the service, and use something like a ChatGPT to actually help me through how to create a service like this, because I have no experience of deploying a service like this, even though it should be fairly easy. But with AWS, it's always a pain in the ass because of the roles and permissions and all the IAM stuff. Another kind of alternative is just using Next.js images. So Next.js actually provides a way to dynamically resize the images, and it provides like a component that you can basically use, and it will do it on your own server, which would basically make my cost drop to zero. And because of Cloudflare in front of it, it should have the same caching and everything. But then that would actually drive up my Argo pricing, because Argo takes $0.1 per gigabyte. So that would still not be exactly $0 for the pricing. And yeah, the best kind of option I'm thinking about is probably just creating my own service. And maybe actually, once I have that done, I could probably just roll it out as its own SaaS. That would be a good idea too. Now for a replacement for Sentry, I've thought about this one. And actually Sentry is an open source software. So they're basically only charging $26 to actually host a version of Sentry on their servers. So you can actually roll out your own Sentry service, and they actually even provide a full guide how you can do it. But for $26 a month, I don't think all this effort is going to be worth it. With images, it actually makes sense to reduce the pricing with creating my own service because like my costs are gonna increase over time. But Sentry, I don't really see myself actually going over the 50,000 hours limit. So yeah, I don't really see a reason to put all this effort for basically $26 a month. Now for the server cost, I actually had a section written for this back when I actually had the idea for this script, but that was when I was actually using DigitalOcean with its $376 droplet. Now with Hetzner, with how cheap it is, I don't really see a reason for the services. For the S3, which DigitalOcean spaces, I don't really see any alternative, and probably it's not even worth looking for an alternative because at $5 a month, it's pretty much the best thing I can use. And yeah, there probably are some services that provide some sort of free S3-like service, but $5, that doesn't really matter when the website is already making $2,700 a month. And for Argo, it's pretty much a no-brainer at this point because of the higher speed that I get to my servers. I have to cut as one of my last resorts, or like when the site is basically having so much users that it falls into more users by itself instead of relying on Google search right now as I am. And finally, I'm going to talk about what services I might pay for in the future. So one of the things I've recently put some more effort in is emails. So right now I'm actually not even collecting email. So my website has a sign up button and there's like a sign up with Google or sign up with Facebook. But once they actually do sign up, I wasn't actually using their emails for anything, which I've noticed is a problem because it's like a free, once you send an email, it's like a free advertisement for your own website. So you can get them to come to your website. Even if, let's say, only 1% of the people that you send the emails to like actually come back to your website. So that's like a free money hack, or like a $50 per month money hack, because the service I'm probably going to be using is Mailjet. You're already using their free tier, which gives you like 100 free emails per day, I think. But I have at this point about the 3,000, I think it's 3,000 or 2,000 email collected from the sign up. So basically what I do is once they sign up, I send them like a confirmation link. So that counts as having them in my contact list. And then Google can also remember that, okay, they already got an email from this guy. So later when I'm actually going to be sending out like newsletters or like some other transactional email, Google is not going to think I'm actually spamming them and drop my kind of domain score and have all my emails marked as spam, which is what happens with actual spammers. One other thing I could see myself buying in the future, this is a kind of a long shot, is OpenAPI. Using this service on a personal basis, so I'm sometimes just using their AI to craft me some emails or have me explain this code better, because it's actually usually I found out much better than actually Google searching and then finding the solution yourself, or even using something like Copilot. So I might actually use that to kind of summarize some of the contents on my website. And I could give them a summary of some of the articles I have on my website, which would be pretty beneficial if I could automate it somehow. So yeah, that's all the services I'm paying for with my $2,700 per month revenue that I'm getting from just AdSense. So I hope this was a helpful kind of video for you if you're also thinking about creating some sort of service that is reliant on ads. If this was a paid service, I would probably with the number of users I'm getting, I'd probably be making so I'm getting something like 200,000 unique users. That is, let's say from that I get 1% of them as paying users. So 2,000 users, and let's say each person is paying just $5 a month. So 2,000 times 5, that's $10,000 a month, right? Much higher amount than just $2,700 per month. So I hope this video was helpful if you're trying to create some similar service yourself, and see you in the next one. Bye now.